power to make change. You know, Black people in America have struggled for hundreds of years, and we've made some strides along the way. However, right now in 2025, we're struggling to make the change necessary to propel our future generations where they need to be. We seem as if we are in a quagmire of politics. We cannot take it from this level to the next level for our people. And it ain't happening because we are not doing some of the things that I think we as a Black population need to be doing here in America. So the question is, do we have the power to make change? Did we make a change during the NFL draft? If they tried to show their racist behaviors by not selecting the best quarterback on the NFL draft. They're going to push this man down to round 3 and allow everything in their mama to get selected before him just to try and hold down what Deion Sanders has built. And he has built a king. He built a powerful young man with confidence in himself and his abilities. And now the NFL wants to show that you can build what you want to build. We don't want the stuff that goes along with Shador to come to our NFL league. So they push this qualified quarterback down to the 3rd round draft. Now in New Orleans need to get their ass kicked for picking somebody that nobody knows over that Deion Sanders' son. With that, this is the Black News Network, the real voice of Black USA, broadcasting the news from a Black perspective. We don't own the rights to any music you may hear, but we do own the rights to what we say. So without further ado, I would definitely like to introduce to some and present to others my co-host and my friend from Houston, Texas, Mr. Claude Foster. So thank you, Mr. Claude, for being here on the show today. What's on your mind?
Hello, my brother. Glad to be with you. I think you kind of laid it out. You know, there's a lot going on in Black America today. You know, I mean, you laid out pretty well the Shador Sanders, but there's a lot of talk about Shannon Sharp. Mm-hmm. He's been in the news. Tariffs and how tariffs impact our Black spending, if you will, and the ending of loan forgiveness that has a disparate impact on Black college students. And in fact, when I was down at Southern University this weekend, the first thing that they mentioned was all the money that the administration has taken away from Black colleges and universities. Southern took a direct hit. I'm sure it's not the only one.
Did they say why they didn't give Southern certain monies?
They didn't say. They just said that grants that they had originally been approved for got canceled. Mm-hmm. You know, with no real, probably a lot of it has to do with DEI and the type of instruction and the type of compliance that goes on at the historically Black colleges and universities. Mm-hmm. So, this administration trying to force his will down the throat of everybody. Mm-hmm. And so, it was funny that the first thing that the professor said was talked about the absence of the grants and stuff like that they have been receiving. And this, you can't get more historically Black universities in Southern. Mm-hmm. So if Southern's impacted, other universities around the country are impacted. The Shador Sanders is quite interesting, isn't it? It shows you the National Football League, that what everybody's been saying about the plantation mentality of the National Football League, mm-hmm. how real and how dynamic that really is today in 2025.
Mm-hmm. They selected some.
Yeah. I mean, Shador Sanders is a modern day Toby. And he don't
need their money, like you said. He doesn't
No,
need to spend their money.
yeah, but what they tried to do is, like you say, in the third round, like 100, whatever the number was. That's what they did to Toby. They told, what's my name? But see, Deion Sanders raised the kid and have the resources to make for that kid to be so strong that he can't be broken.
That's what I'm talking about. That's a whole nut in itself, how he formed and shaped Shedeur Sanders to be the man that he is. Because what America and what white America was expecting, that Shedeur was going to break down and be crying and lose composure and not hold himself together for the rest of the draft. And he was going to end up wiping his own self out.
He was a man from the time that things started to the time he drafted and beyond. Yeah.
He stood his ground, he stood his character, and he showed America that y'all can put all this shit y'all want to on my back. You can try every damn thing you want to avoid paying attention to me when I know I got my shit together. Y'all can skip over me all you want to, but I know I'm the best thing running out here. And y'all don't have to select me. But when I go to somebody, I'm going to surprise y'all. Yeah. And what I'm looking at this year is who? The Cleveland Browns becoming the NFL champion.
Oh, Cleveland's ticket sales just went through the roof.
They did?
The ticket sales. No, I'm saying that
he just comes to the neighborhood and things start to bounce off the wall.
And see, white folks done left Cleveland is a majority black city now. Mm-hmm. White folks have long left Cleveland. Mm-hmm. But you got black people saying the only game they gonna watch besides Philadelphia is Cleveland.
That definitely nobody want to watch New Orleans for picking that.
I don't understand the ownership of who owns the Saints anyway. But I don't understand that team down there.
His wife owns it.
Oh, that's who owns it?
Yeah.
Wife of who?
Benson.
Oh, Benson. Oh, okay.
She owns the New Orleans Saints, and
but she's not.
She doesn't manage it. She doesn't do anything. She turned it over to the general manager, who made the decision not to pick Mr. Sanders, which was the dumbest mistake ever. And you can ask 10 out of 10 people; they'll tell you that this man just ruined the.
I knew the Giants was gonna pick that white quarterback from Ole Miss because the Giants owner's daughter goes to University of Mississippi, Southern Mississippi, or whatever that university is. And you got to think about it. Think back in things change, but much remain the same. Think about when the New York Jets picked Joe Namath. He wasn't a Southerner, but he played for the University of Alabama. White folks loved him. Same thing with this quarterback at Ole Miss. He's got the nice hair and everything white about it.
He got the look.
He got the white look. Mm-hmm. And
go ahead.
Because pro football, man, is really like it's more than a team. The fact that black people, when you look at our financial ability. Who supports these teams? Who pays these high-priced tickets to go to these games? You don't see a whole lot of black folks in these stands.
Hardly see any. Hardly any.
Right. And so they're not. That's another reason why they didn't want Shedeur. Because of that fan base. Mm-hmm. The same reason. What was the guy in San Francisco? That Neil.
I don't know.
You know the one that Neil. For the national anthem.
Cabinet.
Same reason they got rid of him. That fan base. Because it ain't us. And it's back to the whole discussion about
even Donald Trump said they were effing up because they hadn't picked this little kid. He said that they should have picked him in the first round. Donald Trump said that. And, people call Donald Trump a racist all the time, but Donald Trump has done a lot for black people. And I'm sorry, his outward appearance, the way he runs America is his own.
Well, one of the arguments is
how stupid it is.
One of the arguments, but see, you can't get past this. See,
some thing, right?
Well, no, somebody wrote a quote about and I responded to it. It was about our affiliation with the party that we're affiliated with,
Democrat.
and we're a significant number, but we're not the priority within that coalition.
No, not at all.
We're a significant number, but our individual concerns are not the issue of that coalition. I'll give you a good example. We got majority minority politicians, right? They black, but we don't have majority black districts.
Majority minority politics. What the hell are you talking about, man? What is a majority minority?
A majority minority district was created in the 80s to give black in the 90s to give black folks to give minority folks the opportunity to elect representatives that look like them. We don't have majority black districts. I think maybe there's one or two left in the country. We have majority minority districts. Al Green, y'all don't have any majority minority districts. Y'all got Latino districts, and y'all don't have a district in San Antonio that's a coalition district with different minorities. So y'all got majority Latino districts, basically, even though you got blacks in those districts.
Yes.
Because they never elect an African American in a congressional district in San Antonio.
All right, let's take it on to another level. These tariffs has almost sent the United States into a recession, and we've definitely seen Tesla go downhill from day one, and it's still going downhill. So right now we're talking about Wall Street, the Dow Jones going down, and it's not going very well at all. Of course, and Donald Trump will always say the opposite, try to make things look good, but it's going down. Everything is failing based on these stupid tariffs that he's implementing on foreign countries. Look at what he did with the new electric car coming from China. That electric car is so efficient that the U.S. do not want that car on this soil, because now you can take, if let's say the battery run down in one of these Chinese electric cars.
Yeah, I read about it. It's pretty nice.
They can drive this car to a station, which they have just as many as America has for charging, and swap out batteries for these cars in 3 minutes. So if your battery running down and you want to charge up your battery, you don't have to. You can just swap it out in 3 minutes, and the station takes control of your car and guides it in, changes the battery, and all you do is sit there and watch your clock and drive out with this Chinese car. So Tesla can kiss America's ass because it's going down drain. When this Chinese car hit the ground, they're going to blow up every electric car sale in this country because they're just that damn good. Now, that's one thing. We talk about the Nationality Act, the Immigration Nationality Act, where they sent this boy down to Venezuela, and now the American government is abandoning him. They're not going to bring him back. They're not going to assist getting him back. That's wrong. The only time you can use that Immigration Nationality Act is an alleged act of war. In other words, Donald Trump is saying the act of war is terrorists coming across the border, coming into America. That's the reason he felt necessary to implement this act. And then he violated the judge's orders that said, turn that damn plane around and bring those people back to America. You're not authorized to deport that many people. So taking all this and bringing it back to where we are now, I got a little bit more I want to put out before I turn it back over. When we look at where Black people stand in America, we're looking at the Mexicans getting deported now. Most of them voted Republican, but they are all getting deported. Many of them are getting deported when they shouldn't be getting deported. We have been sitting back in the cut, taking it easy, and listening to America look at us like we are the users of the government. So who lives off the government? We as Black people are not here to make the change. We are not making any change. We're being quiet, but we're coming into the back door using all these services that the government have laid out for white people. Now, let's start with the New Deal. This was President Roosevelt came out with the New Deal. Unemployment insurance, domestic workers were the ones who were exempted from this New Deal act that was put out by President Roosevelt. That was the first step where he started to alienate black people in America. That was the very first after 1865 when we were free. This was the most major act that ever got written by a president that made a difference in our economic. Oh shoot! I hit the button. That made a difference in our economic status here in America. The New Deal, Social Security, minimum wage, all that stuff. Then next came the Corporate Welfare Act. The Corporate Welfare Act paid higher cost, tax burdens, took off tax burdens from people, white people. Then after that came the Free Black Labor Act. That's something, ain't it? Never paid, never compensated, never made whole. That's what they did for us. Slave owners were paid for us being free. So they compensated the slave owners. They didn't compensate the slaves. So now we're looking at reparations to bring us even, but we're never going to get that. We're expecting white folks to make our lives different, and it's never going to happen. They cannot fix our problem. White people can't fix our black problem. We're the only ones going to be able to fix that, but we're so dependent on them. And the problem is we are not going to be able to make this change because we are not engaging in the systems that they run. These systems are set up that I just mentioned are set up for them, and we don't know jack shit about these damn systems, and it's costing us to not be able to move forward in society because we got blinders on thinking that we can go through this system without even knowing the system. You got to know what these people are doing to us. You got to know what they're doing for themselves. The Homestead Act of Free Land in 1862, 1.6 million white folks got free land. Black folks couldn't get a damn quarter acre, enough for one house. They could not get it. They gave it free to these white folks. 1.6 million people got free land in this country. This was after slavery now. The GI Bill, same with the wars. Soldiers who fought gallantly in the military in World War I and World War II came back from the war, and with the GI Bill, now they had the GI Bill just like every other soldier, but only the white people were afforded to go to school under the GI Bill. Only the white people were afforded to build them houses in the suburbs under the GI Bill. Only the white people were able to get business loans under the GI Bill. Black people were not able to do that. So here it is again, black people are wanting to strive forward, but we are not understanding that every system that this country develops is not for black people. So how do you have the strength or the ability to make change? You can't make change unless you learn those systems. That's my whole point.
Well, my response to that is there are actually 50 systems because we have 50 states. Mm-hmm. And everything that you described about benefits, the federal government very seldom give direct benefits. The benefits that you get from government comes through your states. So not until the civil rights laws were passed in the 60s were those benefits equally given to everybody within that state. It took a separate law by the federal government to make states do that. But let me say this. I think black people, there's a song called Where the Fans At. Black people right now are kind of just sitting back, learning line dancing, and depending on faith, family, and friends.
Yeah, man, that's a big.
I mean, because we're in this.
Houston is the reason that all this stuff is going on. Y'all be doing that stuff
because we don't really have nobody out there fighting for us, man.
So we want to do fans.
Well, I mean, we go back to what we can depend on. Even during slavery, families got together on Sunday and danced and fellowshipped and in spite of all the hardships.
So is that a way to forget about it? You know,
I don't know whether all these marches you've been seeing around the country. How many black folks have you seen at? We're not participating.
That's it. We're not participating.
Why?
If you don't participate, you don't know how to play the game.
Well, no. I think we know how to play the game. I think the game, but we also know that the game is stacked. And in order for the game to be unstacked, it's a state by state process. Mm-hmm. And that's why I go back to this whole thing is we got to have a black state. At least that will give black folks some options. Maybe one state, maybe two, maybe three.
You can't do that. How you gonna have a black state? Which state? Give me a state you talking about making.
Okay. Well, let me ask you a question. How do you got white states? You say you can't have a black state. How do we wind up with white states?
Every one of the states are white states.
No, they're not.
Which one's black then?
Texas?
Texas is a white state.
No. What I'm saying is where blacks have a significant enough majority to make a difference in the governance of that state.
Majority black folks.
Mississippi Mississippi could be that black state.
But there are methods in place where they take away the ability to be the majority. You cannot be the majority if half the people got a criminal record.
Right. You just took the words I meant. I mean, you got the criminal justice system in these states and how they're administered. You got the education systems in these states and how they're administered. So until we can wrestle with some of these systems, where the fans at? Because that's
you get more people out there where the fans at than you get on a political.
Well, let me ask you a question. Where are politicians at? Give me some names of some politicians that are addressing our current state of affairs.
It's almost like they're afraid to step on those toes. Look at Kamala Harris, what she said. We ain't never gonna do nothing for blacks alone. Why would she say a statement like that if the rumor is, or the floor, or the consensus is, these Negroes over here, we want them invisible. That's what they want from us. They want us invisible.
But didn't President Obama say the same thing? That we couldn't do some things, he couldn't do things specifically for black people?
Yeah, that's what the federal government looks at. They won't do things specifically for us, but they'll do specifically for the Japanese, specifically for the Chinese, specifically for the Scottish, specifically for the Irish, specifically for the Ukrainians, specifically for any white culture other than the culture that built this freaking country. Well, we did nothing from what we've done. Nothing.
Well, I think the Italians were the last group of Europeans to be classified as white because their skin was a little bit dark.
Yeah.
And there hadn't been no other group since them that Asians kind of fit in that category now. Mm. But there is a reason why black people are that categorically, when you look at almost every category, we're at the bottom in this system.
Every single category. Even when they come out with the DEI, we are the least users of those systems. Not because we want to be at the bottom. We didn't exploit this system. We tried to get involved with this system, but because of the verbiage they use in our diversity and equity and inclusion programs, they changed how it applies. For instance, in San Antonio, they'll come out, the governor, the mayor will come out and say, we today will give 1/3 of our city contracts to Black owners or Black business owners. They'll come out and say it just like I said it. But then when you see the verbiage, it's going to say minority business owners. Now, a Mexican is a minority. A Black is a minority. So now you've basically erased your political statement to get your Black support, but you technically didn't erase it because Blacks are considered minorities. That's the problem. There are code words and trick words that get us caught up in not being able to prosper. And then you let it go. That's the problem. We let it go, and then we go out there and start talking about where them fans at. We forget our priorities. The fans ain't our priority, but you get more participation on the fans than you get on trying to correct a political route that has taken away from us. You don't have the people out there trying to correct what's been done wrong to us. They're wanting to find out where the damn fans at.
Well, but that's part of our historical culture. It ain't so much the dance, it ain't so much the song where the fans at. It's the camaraderie, it's the fellowship, it's the family, it's the friends, it's the faith that goes along with that. And that's how we've always coped in this country. Because with this administration, look, what Black leadership do you hear from? Who's challenging this administration?
You can't challenge it if you ain't got nobody going into politics.
No,
we got all these Black male organizations.
We have 65 Black elected congresspeople.
But we don't have them at the local level, man.
Yes, we do. Y'all just don't have them in San Antonio. You got a black state rep right there in San Antonio.
We got a Black city council person too. But the fact of the matter is, they have no agenda for us. We got the NAACP, no agenda for us. In all these major cities, we got the NAACP. But at which one is which NAACP organization fights for the equality of Black rights? None. Ain't nothing on their agenda about Black. They want to teach you how to be an activist. They want to recruit you to be a member and get your money every year. But when it comes to what they give back is the problem. They haven't done a damn thing to make a difference for where we stand in America.
They have filed. They filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration on some of their more egregious.
They expect to win. No.
Yeah, but you got to be in the fight. But you got to be in the fight.
Yeah, you got to be in the fight. Why would let's say you're a professional. You love baseball, right? Or what sport do you like the best?
I like baseball. I like football.
Right, so you're a baseball fan, but you see a baseball game and you say, "Man, I'm gonna go play baseball." So you go out there and they ask you, "Well, what position you want to play?" I'm gonna play shortstop. You ain't played baseball in 20 years, but you go out there and tell them you want to play shortstop. In other words, you have taken a bite bigger than you can chew because you ain't prepared to play shortstop right now.
Yeah, but see, here's
ain't prepared for to do what they do. They do all these major stupid lawsuits, and it don't amount to nothing because you trying to take a bite of the pie that you can't handle.
Another reason why government is a powerful institution. All of our organizations are nonprofits. All the voices that could speak up, depending on outside sources of money, primarily from the government. And so the reason why you don't hear a lot of voices is because this government that's in power now will take away those dollars and cents.
Like they're doing the university.
Like
you were speaking on Southern.
Now, some of those universities can fight back, like Harvard. They got enough endowment. They can take them to court. They've taken the administration to court. But Southern can't take them to court. Individual nonprofits not going to take them to court.
So what do we do?
So That's why you see all the people out there with where the fans at.
So they comply.
But they're not complying. We're just coping like we've always coped with family, friends, and faith.
So when they cut these funds from a particular university, you're saying that the body of the people don't give a damn. They just gonna go where the fans at.
What they gonna do? What would you have them do?
You really
would you have them out there protesting?
No, which don't amount to nothing. That's where it goes back to the question I'm asking: do we have the power to make any changes? Do we have the ability to direct our future?
Well, we did have the power.
Who's directing our future?
We had the power on November 5th in 2024.
What happened?
We didn't exercise it.
What was the power?
The vote. That's the only power we got.
Hope.
The vote. The VOTE.
Not POV.
That's the only power we got. We don't have an army.
When you got,
we don't have an army. We don't have a navy.
Let's say we got
force.
Randomly pick 10 black people from the east side of any city. How many of those people? I'm just speculating now. How many of those people you suspect don't vote out of those the first 10, or even the first 100?
Probably out of the first 10, I say probably 3 voted, 7 didn't.
So out of our population in any major city, 30% of the population votes and 70% don't. And 70% that don't vote because they don't feel like it, or most of them might have criminal charges or some type of felony on their record, so they can't vote. They haven't went to expunge the record to get that changed. So,
okay,
just exercise our vote. You saying we can make a change? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that's the only weapon we got in this country.
Well, I'm thinking that weapon is definitely needed. The second thing we need is people being groomed to take on offices. We need somebody to take on the homeowners association. We need the Elks Club, the 4-H Club. We need the Q. I mean, you got the Qs, you got the Alphas, you got the Omegas, you got the Masons, you got all these male-oriented organizations. Why can't we get our organizations focused on the same damn thing and getting something done? If you ain't got all these organizations ain't got a damn thing done other than a monkey show. They can go out and do their damn show all day long, but when you want them to go and do something politically correct to help a people, they ain't got nothing.
Or they vote.
Huh?
I'm an alpha. We got a voteless people as a hopeless people.
So as an alpha,
so we promote that. We promote
that red and white.
Huh?
That's red and white.
Black and gold.
Black and gold. All right. I thought you had a red and white cane, man. We were gonna have a problem.
Black and gold. No, but what I'm saying that nonprofits under this Trump administration, when it comes to advocacy,
what are y'all doing to change things as a group, though? What is your group? What has your group accomplished?
Well, I mean, we do a lot of charity. I mean, we got a partnership with March of Dimes. We got voteless people as a hopeless people. We do. Let
me rephrase my question. Sorry to interrupt you. What does it do for Black people? What does your organization do for Black people to uplift Black folks?
All of our chapters are within the Black community, located within the Black community.
What does that do, other than pay the white landlord the money, unless you own the property?
Well, most chapters do own their own buildings, like right here in Houston. The chapters own their own buildings. So, I mean, remember these organizations were formed to go out and make a difference in their local communities. And we got a network of chapters. Anywhere where there's Black people, you're gonna find members of the Divine Nine within those communities.
Of course, and I see them in our communities. But what I don't see is the effects of their being in our community. What benefit that you bring to the community other than you keep your property looking nice?
Well, and members of the Divine Nine, one, they bring a level of education. Who you think are members of the NAACP? Who you think are involved in all these social organizations? Well, I'm just saying. I mean, I'm just saying that the fraternities and sororities are the doers in the community. Now, are they doing enough? I mean, you could argue that, but they are the doers in the various communities.
I agree with you.
A lot of the leadership, political leadership, come out.
What I agree with is what they are doing.
But they can't do everything.
The things that they are doing, they've been doing for the last 30, 40, 50 years, and they still get the exact same results, and nothing has changed. It's still the same for the last 100 years. It's still the same. The Masons, it's still the same. For 100 years, it's still the same. For the Alphas, still the same. The Omega, still the same. There's no major change that you brought. Now, I ain't saying you, but these organizations have brought into the communities other than them being there.
Now, obviously, man, there's a difference in 2025 than there were in 1906 or 19. When
as a result of a particular fraternity, what difference has it made over the 100 years? What can you pinpoint one fraternity that has changed a major thing in any city in America over the last 100 years?
Okay,
nobody.
I'll take myself as an example. I'm an Alpha. I've worked to register people to vote, to get out to vote, to educate people, the importance of political engagement. So one person can make a difference. I mean, so I've influenced a lot of people through my choices in life, my work choices, my political engagement. I bring a certain perspective. Those core values are Alpha. That's part of me. And so I've shared that with the broader community. I mean, so you have that. I'm saying that, in this climate that we're in, because Alphas and sororities and fraternities and all these organizations, all this infrastructure that we built are nonprofits that are dependent on government resources or are dependent on government and able to function. So what I'm saying is,
in compliance, then you got to follow some rules.
Well,
get that money, right?
I mean, if you're a preacher, you can't say you can't endorse a candidate from the pulpit.
Yeah, you're supposed to.
No, you can't. Legally, you can't.
Yeah, legally you can't, but we've had preachers.
Now, as an individual pastor, you can say I support like my Kirby John Caldwell at Windsor Village, the church I used to go to here in Houston. He supported George Bush as president. Everybody in the church knew that. But everybody in the church probably voted Democratic. But I'm sure he influenced some people to vote for. And did Bush listen to some of his ideas and stuff? Did he influence him? See, I think one thing that we gotta do, we gotta expand our. We just cannot continue to be politically linked to one political party. That judge up in Frisco, that Republican black judge, she's the one that reduced that kid's bond from $1 million down to $150,000, so that kid could get out of jail. Now she's a Republican, but I think she's a black person first. Right. She was black before she became Republican. So I think from a political standpoint, we got to be everywhere, because we can't isolate ourselves in the Democratic Party and say that's good enough. And that's what we've done. I think we got to spread out, and we can influence people. That judge let that black. You think that if that judge was white up there, that kid wouldn't still be in jail?
Or a Democrat?
Well, I won't go that far. But if it was a Republican white judge, probably even if it was a white Democrat, he'd probably still be in jail on high bond. But because you had that sister who understands, probably got a strong sense of who she is, she reduced that bond to the level that the kid wasn't no flight risk or nothing.
He's able to get out.
So I think that's got to be the model in the future.
All right. So the question of the day is, what do we have the power to make change as Black people? So I want to ask my co-host one question. What one change can you bring off the top of your head that we have done as a culture of people in America? One change
that we need to do or that we have done.
And that way we can piggyback on to what we should do.
I think well, obviously voting is huge because politics determine who gets what and how much and when. And so I think that we gotta broaden our understanding of politics. Trump going after Act Blue because he feels like Act Blue is a conduit for all these liberal, wealthy benefactors that want to influence politics. So he's going after them because what you do, you have a wealthy donor who is limited on how much money they can give money to Act Blue, and they assign it to. That's why they ask for these dollar donations so they can get all your information, your name and your address and stuff. So here comes somebody with $1 million wants to make a contribution, and the limit is $50,000. Well, then they just spread the other $50,000 out to all those $1 donors, and they never know it. That's the claim. That's what
it's basically a loophole on every law.
Yeah,
but you have to find it.
No, what I'm saying, the Trump administration is going after him. Now, think about this. That somebody stole that person's purse, right? They had the $3,000.
That's that lady. Yeah.
Now they found the guy that did it this quick. He just happened to be an illegal immigrant.
They made him an illegal immigrant.
So they found the guy.
That's convenient.
Yeah, they still looking for your wallet that you lost a few years ago. They still looking for it.
They found him like it was nothing. They made somebody take the fall on that one.
They found him a couple. They just announced that they found him, the guy that stole her purse.
Knowing that it's hard to believe that that's the truth.
But the government got all kind of resources, man. They can find that needle in the haystack. They got the satellites that probably was looking down on that restaurant that day.
And all they had to do was follow the numbers, right?
All they had to do is go back to the satellite.
I
guess what I'm saying, my brother, is when I say the Black folks out there where the fans at, because Black folks are doing what we've always done when there's nothing we really can do but wait it out.
All right, hold on for a second. Just take a short reset. All right, go ahead, Claude.
Black people are doing at this moment what we've always done when faced with something that we have no other options. That's faith, family, and friends. And we're the fans that fit that moment. And you see everybody out there learning that dance. Because that's what you do at these moments. And because we basically got no leadership. Nobody's really challenging this administration. And so what else do? We fall back and do what we've always done. Yeah, there are some miracle moments. Shadur Sanders is a miracle moment. We've always had those miracle moments.
Well, look at the Cleveland Browns in the Super Bowl this year. That's what I'm predicting.
You putting your money on that? You that confident? Are you putting your money?
I ain't betting, but I would love to see that happen.
Wouldn't that be something?
I would, but the reason I'm saying that is because I want to see them receive the consequences of them not selecting him in round one. I want the NFL to feel that.
I'd like to see the New York Giants and the Cleveland Browns in the Super Bowl.
That would be a treat. Yeah. All right. So the question of the day is, do we have enough power to make any changes? So Claude has expressed his opinion on it. I think that we have enough churches, enough black churches, enough black organizations to make any change we choose to make. And the reason we're not making those changes in our government and we're not being recognized is because we have been bred and taught, and it's in our DNA to be separate, to stay the single straw in the room without touching the rest of the straws. Everybody want their own thing, to be your own business owner. You want families to split up. You want everything separate. That's why we cannot pull our people back under one umbrella, because everybody want to do their own thing. Everybody want to be the boss. Everybody want to be the leader. Everybody want to be the breadwinner. But nobody wants to do the work, the hard work. And the hard work that we require is submission, not to the white man, not to oppression, but to our own culture. We have to submit to our culture and understand that we belong to something bigger than ourselves. And as long as we keep this individuality and try and move forward in this society where all of them are on the same team against us, then we screwed. They take us out one at a time. One at a time. Look how they did all these people they took out in the black community, starting with Bill Cosby, Jackie Robinson. You think Jackie Robinson died at 45 for no reason? He died young because of the racist stuff that they did to him in order for him to play baseball. So all these things we have some significant people, but they died in the process because we don't stand with them. We got snitches in our britches taking them out. Look at Malcolm X. Snitches in his britches. Right there in his own organization, killed him. Don't make sense. Look at Martin Luther King. Some people say that the killer knew the people standing next to him. Jesse Jackson knew that he was going to get assassinated. All these different things that we hear on the outside, but we don't want to entertain because black people ain't going to let nothing like that happen. We're so damn naive and so stuck on this stupid shit, believing that we are a certain way when we ain't shit right now because we won't come together and be recognized. That's our problem.
Name a system in this country where a black man or woman is in charge of.
You got me right there. I already know. I don't know a single one. And they're not in charge because we're not together. You know, I keep saying unity, but unity ain't necessarily the key. It ain't about unity. It's about cooperation. If we can cooperate with each other, we don't have to be together. We don't have to be in bed with each other. We don't have to be in the same business. All we have to do is cooperate. In other words, you can open your business across the street and I can have mine across the street and we complement each other. You run out of ketchup over there, you can send somebody over and get it from me. If I don't have sugar, I can send somebody over and get it from you. That's what we need.
We comprise 42 million Americans. You know, if we was a country, we'd be a pretty good sized country.
We'd be bigger than some other countries, yeah. We are a country, but we don't know it. But we don't know it.
But this country had a system of making sure that they diluted that 42 million by spreading us out all over this country.
Everything.
That was
everywhere we were prosperous, they killed it. Everywhere where we were pulling it together, where we had organized banks, dental offices, doctor's offices, shopping centers, grocery stores, wherever we had set up all these things, they killed it. Yeah. The only thing we need to survive is what? Banking, money institutes, food for sustainment, real estate, doctor's office. We need these basic things. If we can set up those things in one place, we can build a community off of that.
But think about it.
Have people willing to commit to it.
Every place, Black people have always, in this country, have always been in prime real estate area because we have always had to be right next to white folks. Because that's where they allowed us to be. But whether it's Seneca, New York, and Central Park, whether it's Mississippi or Alabama, where they turn
Mississippi,
where they buried whole towns, where they flooded, yeah,
Lake Lanier,
or even Houston, Texas, where they built freeways and stuff and sliced
right through the neighborhoods.
Yeah. So
that was intentional too by the federal government.
Of course, look at St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and so
the dome, what they call that thing, the big thing in St. Louis, where they took that land from Black people.
I call it the Gateway Arch.
Yeah. They took that land from Black people.
Right down that river's edge, all the Black folks used to live all along there. But what I guess what I'm saying is, until we can get control of one of these 50 states, or a couple of them, or maybe three or four, I just don't see.
I can tell you what keeps us there. They keep us there because they want us in a particular place, and they give incentives to the organizations that promote these particular places. They want our backs bent and they want our heads bowed. And as long as they can keep our backs bent and our heads bowed, we don't see what's going on. They can take all the money. See, white people will kill for what they want. And that's what they've been doing for hundreds of years. That's how they colonize places. Black people will die for what they believe in. Now, and so it's a perfect match. White people will kill for what they believe in, and Black people will die for what they believe in.
Perfect match for a bullet, huh?
Yeah, perfect match. So until we change the concept of what the way we feel about things, we need to be thinking that we're gonna kill. We have never developed that we will kill for what we believe in, because we've never had the square earth under our feet that is ours. In some cases we have, and we fought to the death for it and lost. You know, in 470 AD, the Moors occupied the Louisiana Purchase. But the Spaniards, who are white, came in and destroyed the Moors right here in America. But we, right now,
I'd be curious, how did the Moors let that happen? They didn't fight?
They couldn't fight. They couldn't beat the Spaniards. The Spaniards outnumbered them and just beat them. The Moors had what they had, and they fought a good fight, but they just couldn't win. They lost the battle. And that's been it's give and take all over the world. White folks lost too. Look how the Zulus beat the Brits over in Africa. You know, that was something different too. So our thing right now is, once we get our people to try and get into, you got to get into politics. Voting is beautiful. We got to register to vote. We got to be able to vote. But if you're not occupying any of those seats, from the homeowners association to city council to the governor's office, the mayor's office, you're not going to be effective. You don't know what's going on. We are the last to find out every damn thing. And that's why I so love being on BNN 247 with you, because we bring the heat. We bring what's really going on out here. We have to let people know how this country is ignoring our people. I mean, this is the worst level of ignoring folks I've ever seen in history. They've ignored an entire society of people, and they continue to ignore us because we don't do anything to change it. And the only way we're going to change it is, like you said, vote and occupy positions.
Well,
and to get our own state, which we'll take another 100 years.
Get our own state or states, because I just think that America, the structure of America will never change. You know, I was thinking about something the other day, you know, like World War I and World War II. in the Vietnam War, what was the difference?
Territory.
The people we were fighting over. The Europeans had more value than the Asians. Because when we pulled out of Vietnam, look at all the South Vietnamese that supported America probably got slaughtered by that North Vietnamese government.
Oh, they were killing them in the street.
But World War I, World War II, we fought till we won. Because those people in World War I and World War II were Europeans. They had more value. You know they had more value because the soldiers that we captured in World War II had more privileges in America than black folks had. And we was over there fighting to defeat them.
And we ain't never been in a position to fight America.
And the prisoners were brought back to the South at these military installations. They could eat in white restaurants, and your black ass couldn't go there.
That's
even
right.
though I wouldn't want the food, but
So this whole that takes us to another level of conversation too with integration. I mean, when Martin Luther King came along as a child, I guess he had some white friends, and eventually they told him you can't play with them kids anymore. So his lifelong dream was to see that white kids and black kids have the ability to play together. And with that concept, he built all this integration, which took away our individuality. It even further diluted our culture. It put us in a worse position than we were in. I mean, before they started this integration stuff, we did it to ourselves. In other words, we shot our own self. We took too much of our own coke and integrated into what they want. I mean, our food was good, our stores were good, but yet we wanted to go sit in Walgreens and eat that bullshit with no flavor. We wanted to go do that. And that's what we did. And we did it eating bad food, getting beat up at the same time. What's your mentality of wanting to sit at a counter to eat bad food? I know you want to integrate. You want people, you want to be able to sit where you want to sit.
Well, some people would argue that all that came, SNCC and those organizations who got them basically liberal educations at the time. I mean, because black folks had developed. When I was growing up in Alabama, I'm sure you growing up in Mississippi, we had our own food establishments to go to. The only one that really survived in Selma is Lane's Barbecue. They got franchises all over the state now because we supported them and still do. And so this whole thing about integration and tied to equality, that was driven by educated folks who were educated, who received these liberal educations and these curriculums that we didn't develop, white folks developed. And because some had, and we associated equality with integration, which don't have nothing to do with equality. And so, but it was the educated class that fought for integration. NAACP, when I was growing up in Alabama, the NAACP was a hotty-totty club organization.
Mm-hmm.
Only
the people respected the NAACP.
Well, no, but it wasn't grassroots. It was your educated class of people that were part of the NAACP. The NAACP had white leadership. What was that white leadership's goal? Integration.
Can you call on the NAACP today for anything?
Yeah, you can call
them and ask them. Give me an example of something they would react to.
I mean, you can pull up the NAACP on the website and see, all the branches are independent, right? I mean, you got a national organization that dictates policies and stuff like that, but the branches are independent. Some branches are strong, some branches, because issues in every community is a little bit different. Some communities, one of the NAACP's breadbasket issue is voting rights. Voting rights at all levels. But the NAACP is dealing with, school issues. They're dealing with economics. They're dealing with a whole range of the political, social, economic issues in the various communities. I don't know what the NWCP in San Antonio's thematic theme is. I mean, what outside of their banquet, what do they focus on? I mean, are there community meetings?
Is that banquet?
I mean, do they have a political agenda?
They have committees that
Right.
work on different things like the right to work,
Right.
second chance.
So the public may not be aware because the NWCP is a membership organization. But I'm gonna give you this: their bark is bigger than their bite. There are 42 million African Americans, and I guarantee you, if the NWCP they tout 500,000 members out of 42 million Black Americans. So, in terms of their bark, that name is bigger than their bite.
Yeah.
Because of its historical significance, because of Brown versus Board of Education. But when you look at the actual membership of the NWCP, less than 1 million people, less than 500,000 people. What does that tell you? And the branches are primarily going to be where you have significant Black communities. Now, San Antonio doesn't have a significant Black community, but it's a historical Black community in San Antonio, and you're a large enough city, and you got a large enough economic, educated, middle class Black Americans in San Antonio. That's why you have a branch there. But they're not advocates. They're not aggressive types. You've been to the banquet there.
Yeah.
They're kind of, they're upper middle class.
There are a lot of upper middle class people in there.
Right.
And we've been discussing can Black.
If your choice, what would the NWCP? How would you like the NWCP to be different in San Antonio?
I only ask for a presence. I mean,
in what way? What type of presence?
You make a presence at the banquet. I would want a committee designed to be at City Hall every council meeting. That's all I would ask from the NAACP. And the purpose behind that is not to go in there and raise hell or to submit or to have something to say every time the committee meets or the city councils meet, but to be present to show that there is a body in existence.
One thing that the president of the local chapter has, the media respects those 5 letters. Mm-hmm. So if the president attended the meetings or any meetings, that would be noticed, especially if they had commentary.
That's all we need.
But
elected.
Who is the president of the NWCP in San Antonio now?
I forget the name. The last one before this one was Huspec, Dr. Huspec. It might be still Dr. Huspec, but I'm not exactly sure. So I joined the one in Seguin, a little bit of ways from there.
Oh, y'all got a branch to Seguin?
Yeah. That's the one I'm a part of because of my location, my geographical location.
Well, when it comes to structure, when it comes to organization, I think if the NWCP wanted to be that change agent, I think they could. But I think that with their civil rights history, it's a legacy organization. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the Urban League. They're legacy organizations, and I don't know whether that legacy is relevant in terms of what we're dealing with today. I think from a political standpoint, the NAACP is viewed as an extension of the Democratic Party, not as an independent. Because when I first became, and I'm a life member of the NAACP, but the NAACP had a lot of Republican members mm-hmm. in its membership. Mm-hmm. I think, but because those 5 letters mean. Because those 5 letters can get press attention, that's what makes the NAACP so powerful. You can go in and type NAACP news, and you'll get news from NAACP branches all over the country.
I'll say this. I'm sorry, Claude. I'll say this about the NAACP. It has been the only organization out of all the organizations that Black people form, or at least are attached to. It's been the only organization to survive. So, and I'm thinking they're the only organization to survive because it's a safe organization for the federal government. Because every organization that may have posed a threat to the federal government was destroyed. And there's no shame about it, and they don't want to talk about it, and they don't want to let nobody else talk about it. Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is, they decided which organization was safe and which ones they need to get rid of based on their political stance in a society, in a country, in a city. With that, you have the thought process going about what we need to do in order to make change. But before you do that, I want you to think about it in your closing statement. Know that any nonviolence that we've practiced in America has been a submissive movement. All this nonviolent stuff we've done was a submissive movement. And because it was a submissive movement, we got our asses handed to us in a basket. That happened too much. We cannot wait in America for white people to make a change, because the only change they're going to make is to send you to jail like they have been doing already. Even though we make tremendous strides in our presence in this country, we have made the best progress ever on planet Earth. There's no other society that has made as much progress as Black Americans have made on the planet in the shortest period of time. I mean, we cannot wait for white people to change us, though. They are not going to change who they are, but we've done what we've done because we had to. We can't fix them. They're going to continue to be the racist people that they are, no matter what we do. And they're going to show it to us like they did with Shadur Sanders. They're going to show us through ways like that. And then when you confront them and tell them, this is what you're doing, they're going to go, well, no, that's not what we're doing there, Mr. Smith. We're doing this. They're a goddamn lie. I'm sorry to say it that way, but that's the truth. They will lie to you in your face and expect you to believe it, knowing that's what they did. We cannot fix white people. We cannot expect them to change. And white people will never fix our situation. They're not going to fix us. The only people that we can use is us to fix us. And the only way we're going to fix us is to collaborate and cooperate with us. That's all we need. And we do need leadership, because we don't have a single prospect in the hierarchy to take over and lead us to the Holy Land. We don't have that person. So in order for us to change, it's going to take a lot of work. So with that, Mr. Claude, can you tell us in whatever time you'd like your closing remarks?
Well, sitting here thinking about what you just said, I was contemplating, our start in this country. And I mean, we started from a point of, we wasn't recognized as anything human. We were less than human in terms of the founding documents. We were brought here as slaves. We toiled as slaves, and we were exposed to Europeans, not of our own choosing. It was forced exposure. So, and I got to be careful about, we were taught how to speak English, which in a sense made us American, because we were English speaking. So because we were English speaking, We wanted English things. We wanted English version of equality. So our whole goal has been to be as English or as European as any other white American. That's our goal. Because that's our model. Because that was our beginning. And the white man said that we weren't human and that we could never be as such. And it took a war to undo those comments, to undo that status. It took a war to undo that status by the highest court in the land. And we've been fighting. And so some of us are fighting for equality, and some of us are fighting to be American. Some of us are fighting to be English. Some of us are fighting to be equal with the white man. That's the standard. And we created all these individuals in the image of the white man. Everything that we created is a copycat. All of our institutions are copycats. Our fraternities are copies of white fraternities. Our churches are copies of white churches. Our home, the way we live, the way we dress, are copies of white people. So how are we going to focus on fighting for equality when all we are is fighting to be just like somebody else that don't want us, that don't want us here? We don't have an independent mindset. We tried in this country in the last 100 years to be independent. The brothers and sisters got together in Indiana. I can't think of the name of the town. And we put together all the different factions of black folks. Gary, Indiana. We couldn't come to an agreement because some of us didn't want to leave the plantation model. Some of us didn't want to leave the English model. Some of us didn't want to leave the white model. And that still exists today. The reason why I mentioned tariffs, who got taken advantage the most by tariffs? All these black women going out buying these cheap ass purses, paying $3,000 for a $300 purse because they want to be European. That's their version of equality. So until we get a greater sense of who we are as a people, there's a reason why the NAACP is still around and is favored by the press. Because think about it, the only organization that really gets decent press is them. You can type in NAACP and you got press from all over the country. Because those 5 letters were founded by white people. They weren't founded by black people. The Urban League was founded by white folks. So I guess, we got this dual personality. It's African and it's European. And as we go up the economic ladder, it seems like we want to be more European than African. And the less wealth we have, the more African we seem to be. And the more European we are, the more wealth we have, the more European we are. And the two don't never seem to want to come together. So we may be 42 million strong, but we are just as divided as we've ever been. So that black skin, white mess is still with us today, brother. Mm-hmm. And so until the one book I told you about, the traits and habits of the American Negro, These books are still on the shelf, the bell curve. These books have not been banned and burned. These books are still on the shelves. I ordered that book, The Race, Traits, and Tendencies of African Americans, off Amazon. These books are still in circulation, brother. That degrade us and dehumanize. This country we want to ban books in the library on gays and all like this. You ain't never heard let's ban all these racist books that's been written about us. So we got a long, long, long way to go in this country. Those books you can still buy. Those racist books you can still purchase. Somebody's reading them. Some doctor in medical school reading that shit. Some lawyer somewhere reading that crap. So the people that we think are our friends already got a preconceived notion of who we are and what we are. And just like you see on the videos, the cop gonna treat you the same if he pulls you over in a Mercedes versus if he pulls you over in a jalopy. A 3-piece suit and no suit. So we have a long way to go. We've come a long way in terms of our European advancement, but we got a long way to go in terms of who we are as Africans, descendants from the continent of Africa. I think I'll just leave it right there. I don't want to. We didn't talk about the Shannon Sharp and the white girls, which I think is equally as important.
Yeah, that's sad, ain't it? But it's true. Yeah, I mean, they got to learn though, man.
But how? And
this method here.
This white girl wasn't even a 10. She was like a Indianapolis, Indiana 7.
Yeah, 7. I want to just put this out there. Some black men have this back in the back of their head that a white woman means that they have accomplished the world. No matter what she look like, no matter what she feel like, or how she make you feel, if she white, in some black man's eyes, she right, and they end up getting screwed.
But if you're a black millionaire, if you got $100 million, why would you
stoop that low?
Right. What is it in your head? What is it in our DNA?
He didn't do it. She did. She knew what she was doing. That's the thing. They're smarter than the man that screwed them.
Shannon Sharp is 54. She's 19.
She's still smarter than he is. But look how she got him. Look what she did to him. She got him. So she knew what she was doing. Maybe she had a coach. Maybe she didn't. But I believe these white women are getting coached on how to secure a black athlete. And it's that easy. And wait a minute, one more thing. These people that teach them how to do it, they're getting a percentage of the money that these white girls get when they get with these white men, these black men, because it is happening so much right now. How can it be real? I mean, every black millionaire athlete seems to be getting a white woman. It's something's wrong with that picture. Not all now, don't get me wrong. Not all of them are doing it. But there's such a significant amount. It's an epidemic almost. Something's wrong here. Something is definitely wrong. Where none of those people act like they see race in the process. So with that, Claude, I really think what you said today. I mean, Shannon Sharp can be a good comment, a good subject for next week.
I just want to not let the show go without mentioning.
Yeah, we're gonna bring that back up. So I'm gonna dig a little deeper on that, and I want to talk about it. And I don't not only Shannon Sharp, I want to go down the list of many of these other fools that jumped in bed with the devil and end up in.
Now, don't get me wrong. I think you don't think true love between two human beings, I think, can exist.
That can exist. Yeah, it can. I know it can. But when it comes to 20-year-old, and how old is him? 50-some years old.
54.
That you can't be that stupid. You cannot be that stupid. Shannon
Well,
Sharp, you got to.
Look at the owner. Look at the owner of the New England Patriots and his young girlfriend.
You got all this career going, and you're so stupid and gullible that you fall for the okie doke. I'm sorry. And that's what it is. That's what happened.
You ain't lying, because I watched, when you watch the show where they select the players, and they had the video of all the players and the people that was. You see all them white girls? You see all the white girls that was there?
Yeah, it's there for the taking. I mean, all they got the black athlete do is snap his fingers. He got one on his own, just like that. And they ain't all ugly. They ain't ugly at the time. They probably got an ugly mind. But let me go on. Take us on out, Claude.
Brother, take us out of here.
Thank you so much for your participation in the Black News Network. You know, this is our year and a half of us doing what we're doing. Let's keep it going. We'll be back next week, and I look forward to having a show with you talking about Shannon Sharp and his indiscrepancies. We know that what he's done is wrong. I want to close by saying these comments. We have a chance to make a change, but in order to make these changes, we're going to have to pool our resources. Jacksonville, Florida, Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Georgia. I want to give all these cities a great shout out because of your participation with the Black News Network, BNN 247. And I also want to say these are mega Black societies. If you want to get into a business, if you want to get into a good professional circle, if you want to go and experience some great personal opportunities, then those are some of the cities you need to start thinking about living in. Jacksonville, Florida, Columbus, Ohio, Indianapolis, Indiana, Charlotte, North Carolina, Dallas, Texas, Houston, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, Raleigh-Durham, Atlanta, and Washington, D.C. are quite a few influential places for Black people. And one of those cities that I just mentioned will be the city that brings us under one umbrella as a society. Right now, we don't know who the hell we are. We don't know if we're African American. We don't know if we're Black. We don't know if we're Moors. We don't know if we're Mexican. We don't know if we're Indian. And then we got Black people talking about, I got some Indian in me. Like, that's such a significant thing. You need to wake up, Black people, and stop all this bullcrap thinking that you're somebody else. You are only, if you're a descendant of a slave, then you are the culture I'm trying to target. You are the people I'm focusing on, because we're the people who are lost. It's like we're wandering in the desert, not 40 years, but 400 years. We got to come out of that desert and pull together as a culture. You look at the Chinese, there's a culture, they got Chinatown. They got their own culture. You look at the Turkish people, they got their own culture. The Italians, they got their own culture. The Germans, they got their own culture. The Koreans, all of these folks got their own culture. What about us? We do not have a focus on our own culture. And soul food ain't it. Barbershops and beauty shops ain't it. Food trucks, restaurants, it ain't it. We got to do better. And the only way we're going to do better is to start just talking to each other and listening to something that may make us better. But what we are looking for here in America is high-paying jobs if you want to go to work. We're looking for affordable homes if you want a very nice place to live and you want to buy your home. And we definitely need, if you're a young person, a vibrant social life. These are some of the things you ask yourself when you decide where you want to move. High-paying jobs, affordable homes, vibrant social life, short commutes to where you want to go. Those are the kind of things you're looking for. You don't want to look for high crime areas. In closing, faith, family, and friends. That's what Claude said. Those are what we need here in our community. No leadership, no challenges, we don't have. English and European as we can be, that's what we are trying to be, which is our downfall for trying to be like them. We got to be ourselves. If you want to say the word ax, if I ask you something, don't correct me because I want to cuss you out if you try. If I ask you something, that's what I intended to do, is ask you something. Some people are going to say, well, the word is not ask, it is ask, brother. They want to correct you because they want to make you as English as they can. Tell them to shut the F up and get out your face because you don't need that type of correction. We got to do better. This is the Black News Network, the real voice of Black USA, broadcasting the news from a Black perspective. You can find us on Facebook at The War Report, THEWAR Report. You can find us on Instagram at BNN247_. You can find us on YouTube at BNN247. This is the Black News Network, broadcasting every Sunday at 3:30 p.m. I would love for you to subscribe to our channel on YouTube and like us and comment on our channel on Facebook. Say something. Closed mouth don't get fed. I'd love to know what topics you want us to cover. So with that, and with all of you saying thanks to you for joining us on Facebook and on YouTube and on Instagram. This is the Black News Network, BNN 247, signing off. Until next week, let's have another good show and another good topic with my co-host, Mr. Claude Foster. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Warren Smith Bay, your host.